So as a student, I got involved with theater pretty early in high school. So I had the opportunity to get involved with theater my freshman year of high school with the musical The Wedding Singer. And I fell in love with musical theater right after that. So I got involved with both my high school's productions and community productions. So overall, I did 7 shows over the course of my high school experience, 1 play, and then 6 musicals, and I loved it. Throughout high school, I had mentioned the experiences I had both in the community and personally at my high school, but I think my favorite would have to be my junior year. My school put on a production of Bonnie and Clyde, and I had the opportunity to play Bonnie, which was super fun, but it was the last production at my school of my favorite directors, as both moved on to different schools after that time. It's a magnificent musical. The original cast recording includes Jeremy Jordan, Laura Osnes, and I just had so much fun because I felt like it allowed me to push myself, but it was a more serious show, and it took a lot of dedication, but it ended up turning out great. So Bonnie and Clyde is kind of like a historical fiction representation of the famous figures Bonnie and Clyde, but it looks at them through a more humanistic, more personal view, and so it takes a look at their backstory, looks at their childhoods, how they grew up, and then shows the 2 characters falling in love, and shows how they are reaching for success, reaching for their dreams, even though they're doing so illegally. And so even though the show begins and ends with the characters' deaths, right, that's one of the first scenes, you see the 2 characters dead on stage, and then you revisit that moment and how we get there at the end of the show. Most of the show, instead of focusing on the death or the negatives, focuses more on the humanistic elements of love or family or dreams, and I liked that a lot. No, I will say I was really grateful. I fell in love with the role as soon as they announced the show was going to be Bonnie and Clyde. I've always been a big fan of the actress and musician Laura Osnes, and so as soon as our show announced it, I really went for that role, and I was really happy to be offered it. As an actress, I will say one of the nice things about the show is that there wasn't too much dancing involved, as I am, I would say, a fairly accomplished musician and actress, but dancing is not typically something that people are calling my name for. However, I would say, like, this is a show that I poured my heart and soul into. It was one that many days I would be at school for 12 or more hours, staying late, preparing for this role, working so that I could make sure that I could put on the very best show possible. And so I feel like that passion mixed with that perseverance helped me to bring the show to life. Yeah, what's great about this show is that it wasn't a show where I felt like, hey, we had one really strong actor and then the rest were okay. It was one where I would say, like, I brought that perseverance and that passion, but so did everyone else. And so the community effort was just amazing, and it's a show that I look back on, and I would be proud to present to any community, not just as a high school show, but as a show to be proud of. And so I would say, like, I was really struck by the amount of people after the show that said they forgot that it was a show while watching it, which I think is often kind of the desired outcome of theater, to pull people into a world, to break that fourth wall. And so I feel as though we were able to do that successfully and still have fun at the same time. I have to say, I think it's the most growth that I ever showed. It was during a really difficult time of my life personally, and I found that even as I struggled with some personal life changes and choices, I was able to pour any of those emotions, any of those feelings into my performance. And so it's the most connected to a character I've ever felt, and it's the most I've ever felt like I've been able to bring a character to life and to push myself. Like, there's some really high notes, there's some really dramatic moments and scenes where at the beginning I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to tackle those, that by the end I felt really proud of myself for being able to bring those to life. I did. So Bonnie's got a few solo moments. My favorite song that she gets to sing is Dyin' Ain't So Bad, which is a ballad. It's a really dramatic point of the show where Bonnie realizes that even though she's had dreams of becoming famous, if it's what it takes to be with Clyde, she's willing to do anything, and so she makes that choice for love. There's another song that is a little bit more fun, a little bit more of a romantic moment where she sings How About a Dance, as she's singing to Clyde earlier in their relationship. And both were great. Both are songs that, if they come on one of my CDs or one of my playlists, I love to hear them. Some of my favorite songs to sing even to this day. I've got two, if that's okay. So if I had to choose my favorite scene in the show, I'd break the rule and I'd say two. The first scene that comes to mind is the scene where Bonnie and Clyde meet. I just think that there's a lot of immediate chemistry that the characters have to show in order to get the audience invested. And so that was one of my favorite moments because there was the kind of like the iconic moment of the handshake of Clyde Barrow and Bonnie Parker. And from that, they've got their banter and the immediate charisma that the two of them share. However, I would say, like, in terms of the tech side, one of my favorite moments was the shootout, because there's a moment where the authorities are surrounding the hideout that Bonnie and Clyde and two of their companions are at. And during the shootout, there is a moment where there are lights strobing, so we had to have a strobe warning. There are gunshots sounding. Everyone's frozen at moments. And it's a big kind of action sequence, which is a really cool thing that you don't typically associate action sequences with musical theater. So it was a cool experience to have. And our tech was phenomenal for the show.